Hello friends, today we're going to do another replay analysis. This time for Jakiro DLC Warboy. We did one recently for you, but you've asked again, and that this time, so last time you were Archon 4 in your message, and now you're Legend 2, although actually since the time you posted this, you're now Legend 3, nice work. But you were thinking about joining a casual amateur team as the position 5, and you felt really bad about like how you were playing, and you wanted some advice on that. The advice from that team was that you needed to work on your dead time, improve knowing where to be on the map, your warding habits. Good news, all three of those are kind of connected. So if you work on knowing what to do, you're not going to have dead time, and if you know what to do, you know where to ward. So all of these kind of go together, hand in hand. So in this replay, we're going to focus a bit more on the conceptual game knowledge. We'll try, anyways. And I'll try not to be nitpicky about, small mechanical things, itemization, that kind of stuff. We'll focus more about, what is my game plan as a hero. The first thing I will say is that you shouldn't feel too bad about being, feeling like the worst player on the team. It's technically, rank-wise, you are. You're Legend 3, but I believe these two were Ancient, she's Divine. Tusk was also Legend, but a little higher than you, I think. So it's very natural for you to feel a little out of place. And also when you step into a team environment, I don't know if those four have been playing together. They're all in different parties or clans, so maybe not. But when you start something and you're the lowest ranked, you're kind of new to it, it can feel really intimidating. That's something I've personally gone through, so don't feel too bad about it. And it seems like they gave you some helpful advice, so we'll get into that. First, I want to talk about overall game plan. This is something important, more so when you're playing in an amateur team, because in pubs you can't really coordinate this. It's just a little random. Whereas this time both sides have a decent draft. They're not a full party, but they're a party of 3 and 2, and it works out that they actually have a pretty solid draft. Your draft's not bad either. With my one critique being, and this is now getting into the game plan, that Void Spirit and Wind Ranger, I'm actually not sure who's the offlaner, but to me they cover a very similar role, and so you're kind of lacking a traditional offlane initiator, which is not always bad, but it's good to be aware of because it's going to form a bit of our plan, which is that late game, I personally feel that Void, or Faceless Void, we have to be careful, we got both of them in this game. Faceless Void is probably the best hard carry in this game. I don't mean like Dota's game, this game of 10 people. Because of Chronosphere, and because Bash counters Lifestealer's plan, and because a lot of them are melee heroes or very short range, I think Faceless Void has the potential to win the game if he has a really strong game. So that's our first objective. We need Faceless Void to have a good time. We want to farm up, and we're not too scared of going late. It doesn't guarantee we'll win. We're not like the clearly superior late game team, but we have the chance to win late game, and that's important to note so that we're not feeling pressured early like we have to make plays. Now, their team is still a little scary late game. Magnus, RP, also has the ability to pierce BKBs, and then if you have an empowered Lifestealer and an empowered Magnus himself, that can be quite scary. Shadow Shaman, the instant Hex and long Shackle, pretty annoying for a lot of your mobile heroes. And so they have the potential to win late as well, centered around getting a good RP. This is where some of my concerns come for your team as the late game goes. Imagine a team fight. How does their team start it? Ogre could be in the front just throwing out a stun or slow. Maybe he has a blink Hex, Shackle, Clockwork finds someone to ult in. And let's say they ult in on you or one of your cores. Let's say it's the Wind Ranger. And let's say it's Clockwork who goes in. Or the Hex Shackle. It actually doesn't matter. The point is, how you guys have to help her, right? Because they're initiating on her. You have to go help her. The Void Spirit has to get in there to help. So does Tusk. You can throw out some spells a little further, but most of your team has to get in range to help Wind Ranger, which then sets up Magnus, who can just chill in the back and then start like a huge RP. And if Lifestealer's infested in him, that team fight's almost over. And that is a very easy plan to carry out. Like 3 of the supports can start a fight. I'm sorry, 3 of the other heroes can start a fight, and these guys just wait for the opportunity to arise. How does it work for your end? Void Spirit and Wind Ranger are in a weird spot because I feel they play the same role where they kind of want to like kill backline heroes, and they can technically start a fight, but it doesn't feel the best, you know? It's not like a Slardar or a Centaur or a Clockwork who's like, I'll throw my life away. Like, I don't care if I start the fight. I'm pretty tanky. Like, let them throw a bunch of damage at me, whatever. I will be the focus of the fight to set up and bait out the RP. Neither of these heroes want that. They don't want people to go on them because they're actually quite fragile and they will die if they do it. Tusk can sort of do it, but he's also supposed to be sort of the save, and so he can't actually do it, which makes the late game fighting a little awkward because Void wants to fill the same role as Magnus, where it's like, I will wait for the great like chance for an ultimate Chronosphere. I will go in, I'll chrono, you know, these 2 guys, and I will kill the Lifestealer, kill the Magnus. You know, I'll use my BKB so I can't be affected by Shaman. That's how we win that fight. But who baits it for him? That's where it's tough. So although I think Chronosphere is the strongest spell in the late game, like, that is my concern, that the fighting is a little difficult. So we'll start going from there, because that is this overarching game plan, where if we get late game, we can win, but it's going to be a little awkward. Now, that's not the thing is, this is not your job. It is something, like, if you end up being on a team, this is something you might have to discuss when you draft things. But your job this game is not to solve that issue. That is on Void Spirit or Wind Ranger to play as this initiator, start off the fight. They have to do that. Whereas you're just kind of the follow-up stun. I would say your job is to stay outside of RP range, be ready to throw down an Ice Path on a Shadow Shaman or a Clockwork who initiates, have Macro Pyre for the Chrono. And in fact, if you chain stun like your Ice Path with the Chrono, like, that's pretty good. You're just the you're gonna be throwing out a lot of Ice Paths in the late game, and so you just kind of need to, your job is to help your teammates survive and then just be annoying with your spells. You don't need to be doing damage, nothing like that. So like a Force Staff to deal with Clockwork and to help get in range to cancel his Shackle. Like, I would say that's kind of your job. Let's get started. Who's your mid? Look like it is Faith Void Spirit. You gotta share tangos. I'm sure he'll... No, wait, what? That should be your job for sure. Looks like there's some miscommunication on that front. Again, we're not gonna sweat it too much. That's something easily fixed in the future. We're trying to stay conceptually. So, going back to that game plan. We're gonna get to late. We've already kind of thought about what your role in the team fights are gonna be. How do we get to that stage? Starts off with getting Faceless Void to a good start. And then, outside of laning, what is strong about Faceless... That's going to be so annoying. About Void Spirit and Wind Ranger is that they come online a bit sooner than a Magnus, and that their mid game is pretty strong. And so you're going to want to fight with them. Tusk also likes to do this. So the 4 of you are going to be pressuring this safe lane, maybe mid, possibly the off lane. Let's see how it plays out. But you're going to be creating space as 4. You're going to be really strong because you have a solid mid-game timing, I think. And you're going to let Faceless Void farm. So that's our next game plan. So let's start with the laning and see how that carries out. Because depending how the lanes go, that might determine who we play with. Wind Ranger might do really well, and so we want to go play with her. Maybe it's Void Spirit who does really well, and then we're going to go play with him. So that's what we're looking for out of this laning stage. It's like, what is the next step? Step 1, get Faceless Void to a good start. Step 2, go play with them. Now, I said I wasn't going to focus on too much lane mechanics, but here, never walk up like this. Faceless Void has his time walk. He can get out. You need to identify that this guy can kill you extremely easily. I expect you to die right here. Yeah. So If Faceless Void is with you, you can attempt to fight it. I don't know what you guys were communicating. I expect there to be a decent amount of communication because it's a party game. But if it's decided Faceless Void is going to go try to steal their rune, then you just give up this rune. Clockwork next to a Jakiro, you're like dead. Even if it's Clockwork on his own, you're going to lose almost all of your health, if not die. Plus, any other support is pretty much a guaranteed death if you're by yourself. You can never cast your spells because of the battery assault. It's extremely irritating to play as a Jakiro. Oh, this is actually a good game. I don't know if you've caught any of the streams or anything. Something I've been testing is starting with Quelling Blade. This lane, because I've been waiting to play a lane like this to put it to the test. I'm not fully recommending this yet because I'm still working on it. But as an idea, can you walk out in this lane? Not too much. It's very tough for you. Because like we just saw, if Clockwork, if you are unsure where they are, you walk up to here, and turns out Clockwork was waiting right here and pops out, you're almost for sure going to die. He is going to battery assault, he's going to slow you. If they're level 2, you're definitely dead, you're trapped in like cogs. Even though you're like right there, you're not going to get back. And so I've been starting with Quelling Blade on squishy heroes, or with heroes where I'm too scared to walk out if I don't know where these heroes are. Because when the trees are up and I don't know where Clockwork is because the trees block my vision, I can't... Like, what do I do? If I'm Jakiro and I stand here, I want to harass this guy, but it's really hard to harass him in here. I usually want to play here, but I have no idea where Clockwork is here. And if Clockwork is here, I will die. And that makes my game really difficult. Unless I cut all these trees, and then I can see Clockwork standing right here. And anytime he walks to me, I just walk away because I see him coming up. He can't sneak on me around the trees. I don't know if I can recommend that to you yet. I still need to test it out on... Clockwork specifically is one hero where I've wanted to try this against. You're choosing to walk to lane. I think I would just TP here to help him out. This first wave or two is kind of important. So unless the wave is, for whatever reason, already right here and he's farming like perfectly fine, like say he's a ranged hero and he's like outclassing these guys, I guess you can walk. But I personally feel like TPing for the first wave is not bad. And in fact, if we look at the last hits, yeah, so he's been zoned out. They have a deny and 2 last hits. Should get 2 last hits here. But you see how this has now been denied? Like, you're already starting off on a rough foot. So I think TPing back into the lane if you die is pretty important. Now, although I said you can die quite easily, Faceless Void should be okay because of his time walk. He has an escape mechanism. He should be fairly safe. But he can still be zoned out if he is behind. So we're already a bit on the back foot. That's a good deny. Okay, the lane's going to push a little bit, so we need to think about a pull. Faceless Void will be safe enough, especially now that battery assault is down. Right now, oh, I don't think you'll make it, actually. You're a little too slow. Magic Stick's okay. Windlace might also be good to keep your distance from Clockwork, but again, he just tries to make use of the trees to get around it. Stacking is a good idea, I think. I didn't say that, but I think that's actually the correct decision. Now you make sure you pull the whole wave. Oh no. Okay. So you were a second off. That's why I don't want to critique it too much. You had the right idea. Pulling there would have been really big because... Let's go look at this. Actually, it might work out either way. Where now this whole wave will push under their tower. But I think pulling that entire wave would have really helped here. I think you know that too. Pulling the second wave will at least mean that they probably can't contest you. And that's why I was thinking, okay, maybe this works out anyway. I think Faceless Void should come here and farm this. Okay, pull again. Maybe you don't have to. No. Yeah, this is kind of why you had to. It's because this wave needed to fight this wave to be even around here. But this wave was damaged by that previous wave earlier. Oh, actually, no. The next wave's here. Never mind, I'm wrong. My timing got all thrown off. Ooh. So yeah, this is what we're talking about. Or like, anytime you get caught out, you're dead, aren't you? This is the idea behind that Quelling Blade start, and this is the idea behind a Windlace instead of Magic Stick, where you actually, like, you can't be out here because of who you're against. They have a slow and a stun on Ogre, who I think it's Ogre offlane, which is pretty funny. That's pretty uncommon. And then Clockwork, who, because they have a slow and a stun on you, he will definitely catch up to you, and then you're dead. You see it here. Actually, where should you have ran? I think you're dead if you run this way. That might still be your best bet because it's closest to the tower and closest to Void. If you know for sure you're dead, then maybe running this way to draw them out of the lane, I think is also a good alternative. This is okay too, I guess. Plus side of running down, though, is that Clockwork was over here, so you're a little further away, and I think it would take longer for him to get back to you. All right. So we've already got a rough start. I also want to point out, because you have like 6 tangos, I'm going to take this as a teaching moment where they don't harass you, do they? You know, they kill you. It's not like a Disruptor who chips you down slowly and then you're so low, then they get the kill. This is like, if he walks out of position, it's 100-0. Tangos don't do too much there. That's why you should definitely be the one to share it, which I'm pretty sure was just a miscommunication at the start. Wand won't save you either, right? Think about how they're killing you. Completely. It's not like, oh, it's close, maybe a burst of health will save me. An extra 200 health, you'd still be dead. An extra 300, 400, because they trap you and you cannot move, and they have like 10 seconds where you are a useless hero because of Clockwork. Clockwork specifically is extremely strong on this. And so that's why you giving up some tangos would have been like fine. They don't really impact you that much. The salve is good in case you survive just a little bit. The stats I don't mind to like increase your chance, but really the way you survive in this lane is not getting caught out, which means you have to stay like way back here. I do think I can't fully prove it yet, but I believe Quelling Blade to like cut all these things is really good against Clockwork. Is my idea. Now that the Quelling Blade is so cheap, it's 130. I think now it is possible. Before it was like 200, and you needed a bunch of other stuff, and it was really hard. And there was only one courier, so it could never get to you. I think this is an idea that is pretty good, and I want to prove it eventually. But I really feel like this is a case where it demonstrates it. Now we're going to start speeding through this a bit, because I do want to focus more on the like 10-minute plus laning choices. Or not laning, game choices. But we know we are on a bit of a rough start. We can see it here. And net worth. Like, Faceless Void's okay. Like, he's not the worst. He's doing okay. All things considered. You dying has, like, given him some free space. So I feel like this is a bit too many consumables. Or, like, I know you started with these, so that's fine. I think you bought another mango, but you don't really need it yet because you are kind of behind. So you're not looking to fight. You're looking to, like, pull and do these kind of stuff, which doesn't require a mango. Like, a Windlace actually helps, or, like, boots. So, next stage and what we want to do, as Faceless reaches... Actually, Faceless at this point is already kind of at this stage, where he could be left alone, and you can do other things. So, especially after he's 6, if you want to wait for him to hit 6, try to get a kill, and then rotate, that's fine. Decide if that's feasible. Clockwork and Ogre, both kind of hard to kill in Chrono, which means Faceless and you... Maybe you'll get 1 kill, which can be okay. But honestly, I'm not fully convinced you guys can get a kill because like they're actually so tanky. And so you might need someone to rotate up here. And if your mid wants to do it, that's okay. But you don't really want Tusk to do it because ultimately the next step after you guys get the kill is to rotate out of here. So it's kind of weird to like pull him up and then pull him down. Not the worst though. But the stage we're entering, like what do I do next? What I do next is I start to leave Faceless Void alone, and I go cause havoc somewhere else. You guys might still get him. Nope. Alright, I don't want you to come back top. Yeah, so... Actually, I don't hate that you came back top if you need to place a ward, but you already have this ward here. And I don't think you need to be here anymore. Save your teleport, walk bottom, and then if he needs you, teleport top. But I think he's at the stage where he could just jungle a little bit, and he shouldn't really die to these two heroes, in my opinion. See how close that was and you still didn't kill him? That's kind of like point proven. Now, sometimes Faceless Void can get kills, but like these two happen to be particularly tanky, and you guys started off on a bad foot, which means they're stronger and you're weaker than usual, and so it's not the best. Whoops, back to you. Let's take a look at who's doing well. Magnus is doing Magnus things. So we'll ignore that, and it's pretty difficult to actually do anything mid, which means your next play is bottom. And Wind Ranger is doing pretty decent here, you know, against these two. I would say right now your off lane is winning, and that's why I would have really wanted you to walk down bottom and start doing things there. Because you can't even play out here. Anytime you walk out, you're like scared of Clockwork, you know? You can't go get that rune because Clockwork will kill you. Although, actually, here, Wind Ranger came up here, so it works out. But I don't think she wants to be up here. What's happening mid? I see stuff going on there. She's gonna die. That's not good because she was doing well. This rotation here. Changed his mind or he got canceled. You are a bit underleveled. Did you take the tome? That's funny. I have this guy muted. That's hilarious. What are the odds of that? I wonder what from. Yeah, so the tome's in stock. If you take the tome, you'll be pretty close to 6. Macro Pyre plus Chrono is a kill. So when you hit 6, you could go top and look for a kill on one of these guys. I think that'd be okay. I also think you could walk bottom when you have Macro Pyre. Void TP's down. Faceless Void TP's down. You guys Chrono the Lifestealer before he rages, and you guys kill him. Right? With you chain stun him in the Chronosphere, you Macro Pyre, you Ice Path before Chronosphere is over. Your Wind Ranger stuns him with a Shackle Shot. I hope she has... Okay, she has at least a point. The point is you kill Lifestealer, you get a kill on Faceless Void, you guys take this tower based on that win, and then Faceless Void is allowed to farm here. The three of you push out a bit, go ward in this area so that he is safe to farm. And then you guys can either make your way mid, or by that point, I expect them to be like kind of at your safe lane tower, and you guys can disperse a bit, someone goes top, and Faceless is now farming bottom. That all goes with our idea of having Faceless have a good time, and we make plays with these two heroes who are pretty active in this early to mid stage of the game. Magnus is starting to get scary, but it's kind of what he does. He just farms really heavily. It's like what the hero does, and it's really hard to beat him. So he's like really irritating to play against as a mid laner. You can beat him, but he still comes out in net worth a lot of the games. Is that a bug? Are you not able to pick up? Did someone buy this for you and then drop it? I suspect that happened. I feel like this has happened to me before as well, where I couldn't pick it up, which is a huge shame. It's absolutely not what you want to be happening right now. So, to summarize the laning stage, let's do this before I forget it because it's fresh in my mind. So the laning stage went poorer than it needed to. Not fully your fault. This is a tough lane for Jakiro to play. I like the idea of pulling a lot. I think, I'm not going to tell you to do it yet, but I do think that Quelling Blade thing would help this lane go a little smoothly and help to avoid a couple deaths. At the least, we could have avoided this death by just not going for this rune. Then the other deaths, I don't blame you. It's pretty understandable to be in this area, get caught out, and it's like, oh, well, I know I shouldn't have been there, but I kind of needed to play. That happens to me. It happens to everyone. So 1 or 2 deaths, not a huge deal. But that first death and then not TPing up here, that kind of put us off on the wrong foot. It wasn't game losing or anything, but it's not where we want to be. And then once you recognize, like, this is a lane that I cannot do anything in, like, I die so easily here, but Void does not actually die that easily here. And because I've I've baited them away with my body and life, Faceless Void's actually, like, kind of doing okay. I should leave him here. I should go bottom and do other things. That would have let you have a bit more impact, even though you're low level, I think. Okay, let's continue. Your goal right now should be to hit 6, which with the tome, you'd be very close. I would just dual breath this. Faceless Void actually does not like to farm lots of little creeps, so you just need the XP, you need to fast, so you can do other things. You don't need to be here. So I would have just dual breathed that. Liquid fired it, tried to kill it pretty quickly. Try to hit... you wouldn't have hit 6 from it, but the idea is that you quickly get the XP from that camp, and then you move on. You get the XP, and you leave top. You're not needed here. Like, you go make plays somewhere else. Now we see them actually rotating bottom, and someone's mid. They have 2 options right here. I think you guys TP bottom and fight that. I mean, the idea is still the same. Okay, this is actually pretty good too. I hope you guys kill him. Okay, that's great. Ooh, maybe even 2? Yeah, it's a little too scary for that one. Alright. If Tusk dies, honestly, not that bad. Oh man, this is going amazing, actually. Ooh, is that a misclick? I think that was. Absolutely wanted Macro Pyre in that fight. Again, we won't worry about those small mechanical things. Now, if that was a conscious choice to not take Macro Pyre, I disagree. Macro Pyre is 60-second cooldown, which is quite low, and it does a ton of damage. Even though it says DPS is 100, it actually applies a debuff that lasts 2 seconds. So as long as you touch someone with Macro Pyre, you will do 200 damage. And then as long as they're standing in it, they will take that 100 DPS, and when they walk out of it, they will then continue to take damage for 2 seconds. God, I hope that's true, and I didn't misremember that. But I'm pretty confident that is how that works. And so it is a lot of damage, especially with Macro Pyre. But then you also have, like, Shackle, you have the Aether, you have this guy snowballing, knocking someone up, throwing ice shards they have to run around. Like, you have a lot of setup for a really good Macro Pyre. Your team also does not have the best... you have, like, decent wave clear, but it's not the most incredible. And so having a Macro Pyre ready to defend could also be a pretty good use, especially because you have a Shadow Shaman who's looking to, like, drop wards. And so quickly using Macro Pyre to clear off all the creeps, and then it's a little easier to clear out the wards. Like, that's pretty solid. I think this is okay, the Ice Path. If you know that you want to play with Faceless Void and Wind Ranger, who will provide a decent amount of damage as long as you can stun, I think that's okay. I also would not have minded continuing to level Dual Breath because it gives more wave clear, and because I feel like their damage is a little lacking, unless she's doing really well, which it looks like she is. So either build I would have been okay with. I do like Ice Path, though. But I want the Macro Pyre. I need the Macro Pyre, actually. You can do a lot more with that Macro. Okay. I want to be scared walking up here. They're all alive, and I am alone. We've already talked. Clock will solo kill me. Lifestealer and Magnus probably can solo kill me. Lifestealer you can probably TP away from, but you don't have one with you, so you have to be careful of that. Magnus, he'll kill you. You can't TP away from him. You're just dead to him. You're not necessarily dead to Shadow Shaman, but he can Hex Shackle you for a long time until someone who can kill you can walk up. An Ogre probably can't kill you, but can do a lot of harass. You can't trade evenly. So there's a lot of threats to you this game. Being over here is really scary, where I have no idea who's just watching me from the high ground and could easily just walk up and kill me. So leaving, to finish that thought, so if I want to leave mid, I am walking this way because this is safer. Also, keeping in mind the time gives you a chance to stack. But this is just a little scary to walk up this way. And you do identify Force Staff as the item you want. That's good. No. Head back bottom. to be fair, I know you probably feel a little uncomfortable, right? Because it's like, oh, I don't know, I don't really know these players yet, and I'm also the lowest rank, so like me making calls is a little like presumptuous. I've totally been there, but I do think the play right now is for 3 of you at least, you, Tusk, and Wind Ranger, to be bottom. Now Faceless Void is actually here. That's kind of okay as well if he had Chronosphere. We already talked about making that play where you guys are down here and then he TPs in to use Chronosphere. But this is a tower that needs to be taken because you have these like mid playmakers. You can do damage. You can get kills. I don't know. It's just kind of what needs to happen in my book, and like whichever 3 of you are here, whether it has to be you and Tusk, and then plus one of these cores. If a fight breaks out, all of these cores are quite mobile, so they can TP here and then quickly join the fight, even if it's down here. More so if it's like up here because you guys have backed away and then started the fight. This is just like a good place to be. And I don't think you need to like run back mid or anything. Stuff is happening top, so you TP up here. How did that work? Did he get... I have to see this. That is hilarious. I've never seen that. But that is so funny. I thought he kicked him, and I was like, how does a level 7 Tusk have an Aghanims? I didn't know that's how that worked. It doesn't interrupt Skewer? That's really bizarre. If it's not clear, Magnus began to skewer away, and then Tusk punched him, and instead of canceling the skewer, he just, like, flopped over here. That's crazy. I've never seen that. Okay. Now, because your team is winning that team fight, I agree, you don't need to TP up there. You don't have a TP. I suspect you might have TP'd if you had one, which I would have been okay with because it was right by your tower. At this point, you definitely don't need to rotate there. I would focus on shoving this lane out as fast as I possibly can, which is where Macro Pyre would be great. I would actually just Macro Pyre the next wave coming up here. Like, I would Macro Pyre this right now. And maybe I would stand here and Macro Pyre this way to break the trees. But as long as this wave gets Macro Pyred and the lane gets shoved in, I'd be happy. Dual Breath, like, that's the next best you can do. I'd be willing to walk up here and E this. Actually, no, I'm not. Because I don't actually see enough people. I do feel like they've rotated up here. And in other games, I would feel comfortable enough to walk up here. But following our discussion of, like, how many people pose a threat to you, I'm not going to walk up there. So in that case, I would use Liquid Fire to shove this wave as well. Because I want this catapult to be hitting the tower as soon as I can. Okay, I just saw all of them up there. I am now ready to... I saw it on the minimap, guys. I'm now ready to, like, risk my life, walk up, press E on this, and back up. Also, it wouldn't be a risk if you, like, did that Macro Pyre thing that broke these trees. Because you would see the trees and you would feel okay. So, let's back up a little bit. Tower is at 15-19 health. After just a little bit, you're only there like, 30 seconds. Yeah, so it's 16 right now, okay? 16:05 when the tower damage starts. And you guys get pushed off at 16:20. 15 seconds, you guys took half of this tower. So imagine this creep wave earlier, if you had just Macro Pyred it, how much sooner you would be at this tower. And you could have actually taken this tower in this push. Because the catapult would have been hitting it the whole time. You'd have had, like, if you Macro Pyred that first wave, you would have had those, like, 6 creeps here. And then, like, all of these 4 coming in now. This catapult would not die. And this tower would actually fall. So that is something that could have happened if you had Macro Pyre. That's another reason that ability is so good. And it's only a 60-second cooldown, so like right now you'd be like 30 seconds off of having it again, you know? So it's like, oh, okay, just don't fight for a little bit, guys. I'll have it soon. I haven't been paying him too much attention to warding, I feel like. Same deal again. Let me look up here. So I see these two. I'm not sure if you can actually see this teleport. It's always a bit of a replay bugs. But we do know they have several heroes top, and it seems like things are rotating up there.
Cold wind blows.
This is like not what you want to be happening right now. Where Wind Ranger is supposed to be quite powerful right now, but she can't be alone doing this kind of stuff. Is that her fault? Partially. The other part of fault is like you and Tusk. You know, you guys need to be with her. Tag team with her ultimate. Stupid. Stupid good. You stunning so that she can't be like shackled and all that, and she just gets a kill on, you know, whoever she ults. Easy. Sets up, you know, the push. This tower, full health still. Now they've rotated top. Do they hate rotating top? No. Because they want this tower. And so if they have to rotate 4 up here, they're going to just take this tower next. After getting a kill and winning a fight like back here, that's great for them. I don't think he needed to ult here. This is good for you guys because that is a big part of their tower taking. But they don't hate rotating up here. And that's why I don't love the fact that your team is making plays up here and drawing attention here. Because, like, what are you doing when they're drawing attention? You're taking this tower, which is good. But when your team loses this fight because they rotate up here, like, that's not bad for the enemy team either because they now come up here and take this. And you guys don't love to rotate up here and defend this because you don't actually care about this tower that much. Even though your team is playing right now as if you do because you have, like, your 2 playmakers both up here in the least important lane. It's much more important to take this tower, to force attention down here. You could still do the same thing mid, right? If there's a bunch of plays going on here and you're not there, you can still force mid in and, like, that's all good. But now when they defend this, they're in the position where they have 4 people down here and they don't want to come up here. Because it's like, who really cares about this tower? You know? It feels weird. And if you guys win the team fight because you're all down here, then that's great. You can take this tower. Bonus benefits, in this game, it's not quite important yet because you don't have a hero that can do Roche quickly or have a lineup that is going to do this that quickly either. But by forcing people down here, it's far away from Roshan, and that is generally good. But not always. Like, even if you are, like, if you were the Dire, or I'm sorry, if you were the Radiant, you would still want to force people up here. It's just like where you want to go. So that's not like a totally honest comparison, or like it's not a fully valid point on where you play on the map at this stage of the game. Later, it will be. So now this is better. See your team like forcing stuff happening down here. Now this is a little scary. What's happening? So from your perspective, I don't know what's happening. So that's one thing you need to work on is to like look to see what's happening. But chasing Magnus around is going to be one of the harder heroes to kill. Look how long they've chased. This is a lot of time for the enemy team to rotate at this point. And really, if we get the kill here, it feels okay, but the tower we wanted is all the way over here. Wind Ranger's also dead, and she's a lot of our damage right now. Okay, team diving a bit hard. They've chosen to come mid. I might go join them. Nah, actually, I think, yeah. I think mid's fine. No, I would be scared. Don't do that. We're just here for the tower. Alright, you're gonna die, I think. Oh, yeah, you live. You don't need to run in for that guy. We're just there for the tower. If your team decided, okay, we're just getting out, then yeah, push mid in like that. But if the team seems like they're gonna fight, then be ready to move down there. I don't know what you guys talked about, so I won't focus more on that. Oops, where are you? Do you guys need to be mid anymore now that that tower is done? No. So let's re-update our plan. How are we doing in terms of Void having a good start? He's at the top of the net worth. Lifestealer and Magnus pretty close behind. So it's not like this crazy lead or anything. But your team also doing decently. Like they're not that far behind the mid, and like all the core matchups are like fairly even. So in terms of reaching the late game where we feel like okay and have a chance to win there, right now the game is like, I mean, that's it. It like feels okay. We're not losing. We're not necessarily in the lead yet either. So it's still pretty contested. Now we have taken the first tower. That's good. So what's our next play? Well, if we continue to take towers, we are helping our team and we're limiting the enemy team's area to farm, right? When they lose buildings. That's why taking towers is generally good in every game. It also worked with our play style of 2 playmaking heroes here. And so now that we have defended mid, we've defended and taken mid. Our mid is a little low. But we want to shove out the mid lane. We should be a little scared to move past here. So if we shove out the wave and the wave comes to like here-ish, actually even honestly if the wave's here, I'd be a little scared to walk past it. So I no longer want to like continue being mid. I want to go walk somewhere else. Where I want to walk is bottom. And I'm going to be ready. Someone on my team should be ready to TP mid and defend it because we don't want to lose our mid tower. But we want to be making plays. And so right now it's pretty important for your team to walk to your next destination and for someone to be ready to be here. It could even be Faceless Void. Faceless Void doesn't need to join you guys bottom. So he could be the one to defend mid and then go back to this jungle or this jungle. I think top jungle is a little better conceptually so that your team while bottom might also be able to farm here. But as long as mid gets defended and you guys start moving to your next play, I think that'd be good. So for you, I would want to start moving bottom right about now. Now this pathing it's better. It's also not as important this time because you have a Wind Ranger with you. So it's actually like kind of okay to walk together, but still a little scary because if you guys got RP'd together, like you can't save her. And you have to, if you walk too far apart, then you're going to get picked off by like clockwork. But it wouldn't be so bad to follow the Wind Ranger in this case. Okay. What will you do on your own if you find a hero? Nothing. What do you need to be with? This guy. Jakiro is not the one who initiates. If you're ever the initiator, your draft is bad. Jakiro is the follow-up. You cannot follow up if you're by yourself. You must be with someone who will start. Someone who will silence and aether. Someone who will snowball, knock him up, and then you ice path. You, as a hero, follow and support. Some supports initiate, like Shaman, he can walk on his own and start a fight because he can Hex Shackle for like 5 seconds and someone can then catch up to him. Jakiro's Ice Path, even at max level, is not nearly as long. It's not long enough to be so far apart. So right now you really want to be with people. Like in this case, you were just warding ahead of time, but what if you warded here and people were here? You'd probably just die. Even if it was one person, are you going to get that kill? No. And now they know you were here. What if they find someone right now? They might get the kill, but they might not. Because it's only 2 of them. And so it's pretty important for you to go with them. And to think, going back to like warding and everything like that. This ward, not bad because you guys want to take this tower. It's pretty healthy, so it's going to be... You're going to spend some time down here, so I don't mind a ward here. But you are smoked right now. So this is an opportunity, like especially because they're playing aggressive. Now's a great time to like place a deep ward by walking with them. This is when it is safe to be in this area to place a ward. Or place the ward back here. A little more common, so it might get dewarded. But it's more common because it's better. Because you see the back path. You see people walking in. You see them like back here waiting to blink initiate. And you can do it while you're smoked, right? You can walk out here and place it like really further down where it's less likely to get dewarded. But you have these options. Whereas placing this ward is actually something you can do even without your smoke. Because when you guys are pushing, you walk down here, and then you just like place the ward over here, you know? And so it's like, this was an opportunity to ward, and we didn't fully take advantage of it, necessarily. Which, by the way, reminds me, I think you mentioned that you felt like Tusk was warding better than you. That's not that bad. Like, honestly, I feel 4 supports should do a decent amount of warding because they are the ones that roam. And if you're roaming, that's when it's easiest to ward. So I wouldn't feel too bad about that. But sometimes if they aren't strictly a roamer, and they definitely don't want to be buying most of the sentries. So if nothing else, you can buy it for them, right? You can buy them a ward and a sentry and pass it to them and say like, hey, while you're moving around, can you place this? And because they didn't have to buy it, they'll be like, yeah, okay. But they don't like when they have to buy it themselves. And then they're like, oh, I'm buying too many wards of the 4, which is, I'm being, making a joke there, but it is kind of true. You don't want the 4 to buy too many, but they should be willing to buy some because they are moving around.
The diaglyph is now active.
Okay, team fight breaking out top. Let's go back a little bit. So you guys were pressuring this, and then looks like you guys want to start a fight. You have to TP in. Mask of Madness, so he's silenced. It's Rage, so you can't help him. Ogre, probably not the most important person to stun right now. I would say it's probably Magnus. I mean, it's Lifestealer, but he's Rage, so you can't hit him. So Magnus is probably next. Macropyre, there's no follow-up, right? So this Macropyre is decent in the fact that it's going to clear out this wave so that they can't take this tower even if they win this fight. So that part is good, and I don't mind this overall. But it can also be good to save Macropyre in case you see this guy land an Aether. Because then, Aether is 1.6 stun, you Macropyre, you follow the Ice Path, 2.5 stun. Now they're standing in Macropyre for like 4 seconds. And that's a lot of damage. Whereas when they're here, like he's just going to walk out of it, and that's it in terms of hero damage. So we do want to sort of keep that in mind. Or if you ever see him use cogs, he himself is trapped in there. That's another Macropyre location, and then you Ice Path. Of course, he has Blade Mail. That can be a little scary. I don't know if I would have recommended your team take this fight, but I know you don't control your team or anything. So if this fight breaks out, I think TPing up here was correct. But I would have rather you guys just like trade towers. Usually whoever forces the rotation in an even game is in a better spot because of the delay in teleporting. If you get kills before everyone is up here, then the teleports finish and you're already like a man up in the fights. So that's why it's like whoever makes the first play, it's a common saying, right? Where it's like he who strikes first wins. Common saying, I don't know. But that sentiment is there where it's like, if you do things first, it's better. I hope this drawing is, guys, we should be playing down here because that's what it should be. Which you guys were kind of doing, but then you decided to defend top. Ideally, this play would have happened first, and they would have had to rotate bot to defend. Or they choose to push top. You guys fight. You guys quickly take this tower, and then you rotate top and hopefully defend that. And now you guys have a tower, and they don't. But all of that is on the back of doing this stuff just a little bit faster. And this should have happened like way sooner anyways. Like, I think the first time I mentioned thinking about when I can leave this lane was like 7 minutes. Like, I could probably walk bottom now. Now you've got the tome. What level are you? I think it's fine. I think your levels are a bit more important than Tusk, to be honest. I don't know if you guys are still playing. I don't know if you're like still playing with these guys or not. What I will quickly comment on what the team is building. What I think is optimal and what's not. I think Tusk should be building a Blink to save anyone who gets RP'd. In fact, you can save your entire team. It's actually busted. Tusk should never be up front. He should wait to see RP. He instantly should blink in, snowball, and pick up everyone that was RP'd. By the time Snowball ends, the RP stun is pretty much over. So that's what I thought when I saw this draft. That's what I thought Tusk's job was. I don't know what the plan was when Tusk was picked, but that's what I feel his role is in this game, is a save. Vlad's, Solar Crest, none of that will save anyone who's been RP'd. It won't save a full team that has been RP'd, that like Lifestealer, Bomb, follow-up. But Snowball can. So Tusk should have a blink, and that's why he can't be an initiator. I don't know if I mentioned that at the start when I was talking about initiators, but that's why Tusk cannot be a frontliner. He needs to be the save. He cannot go in until he sees RP used. Which means one of these two has to be the initiator, which means they have to draw attention to themselves, which means the Orchid is fine, but then I think it needs to be like a BKB, Yules for mobility, survivability, setup. But the Deso is kind of greedy to me. It doesn't fill the job of making plays, I guess. And Wind Ranger, this idea, I think this is right, BKB and Blink. But she's been trying to like do too much early, where it seemed like she was having a decent start, and then like they died top a couple times, all of that, and so now she's slowed down where she should be. Ideally, I think Wind Ranger would have been the easiest to play with at the start because she has the Shackle and because she has the Focus Fire with a Javelin at that point, and she has the Tag Team, and so like kill should have been pretty easy when she has an ult between like a couple stuns and slows, and then she just ults someone and there's a Tag Team going on them. That's like a free kill right there. And then you guys pressure this tower really early, and you get her off to a better start. She could already have a Blink at this point, a BKB, but instead she's like pretty behind where I think she could have been with a bit more optimal play. I think your team had the option, had the possibility to be stronger right now by playing like at the different parts of the map a little sooner, a little better. But this itemization makes it a little hard to play, I guess. Like, he sort of needs the BKB to be able to do his job. Although, also not fully. The BKB is, like, almost entirely for Shadow Shaman. So maybe it is necessary. Maybe Manta works well. I don't know enough carry to really comment on it. But with the items you guys are building, it is making it harder to play this late game style that we talked about, where someone needs to go in to set up the chrono. They have people who naturally go in without needing any itemization. That's why their draft is easier. These guys will just naturally go in, and the items they build will help with that. A Blink on Shadow Shaman, stuff like that. Whereas these heroes, they can go in, but they don't naturally want that much attention on themselves. And so they need to itemize for it, and they're not fully doing that. And that's going to make it tough. So at this point... Stuff going mid. I'm not sure if you didn't know what was not hear that or something. I highly recommend. I understand party games can be like too much noise going on. These are my own audio settings. To me, I don't even play with music most of the time, but I turn it on when I'm recording for mild background noise. I have game sounds quite high for me. I know this kind of like looks low, but the way the way the computer setup, like I hear it very clearly. Game sounds are really important to me. So even though I didn't see even though you were looking at over here, I saw on the minimap that something was happening, which is easy because I'm not playing, but I also heard that something was happening right here. And so if that's not something you play with and you usually listen to music, I'm not going to tell you can't listen to music when you play Dota, but I do, if you're tryharding, I highly recommend that you guys be able to hear all the game effects in Dota, because the sound design is quite good, and being able to hear stuff going on, hear a duel happen here, hear someone cast Shadowblade, smoke, dust, whatever, I think that's pretty useful. All of that to say, it would have helped you react like 3 seconds sooner when here, like I heard that happening, and then you still came over here to, I think, try to stack, but like stuff was happening right now, and you need to like head over to try to win these team fights. Especially like anytime they're going too far out of position, because of what we just talked about, where we don't have the best initiation necessarily. We need to win these kind of fights where they are out of position. It's really important to react quickly and be over there. After your Force Staff, I think maybe a Yule's would help set up for your team. Make Void's job a little easier. Yeah, I think Yule's pretty safe bet. A really next level purchase that I would be a little scared to do myself is possibly a Blink. Not to initiate, but to be very safe and to make sure I can cancel Shackle. To like Blink. It's not really your job necessarily. That's why I think Yule's is better. But if no one on your team can cancel Shackles, you're going to be in a rough spot. These guys hate getting shackled. Wind Ranger, Void, and Void Spirit, they're all weak to Shadow Shaman Shackle. Because they're fragile heroes, so they die in that time. Someone more, a tankier initiator like Centaur, he doesn't care. Shackle me the whole duration. I will be alive when it's done, and then I will kill you. Like, that's how tanky that guy is. Or Underlord, he doesn't care. Tidehunter, he doesn't care when people stun him as the initiator because he has his passive. Those heroes are more natural frontliners. People like Slardar, very tanky, AoE stun. That's why, like, your draft is pretty good, but like this specifically, I think one of these heroes needs to be a more typical initiator, and that would make the game easier to play, whether you're ahead or not. This can still work, but it kind of depends on you guys being ahead and making those plays in that mid game that we talked about. I don't hate this Macropyre. I also feel it's a little unnecessary. I don't know. It's not the worst because you, like we said, it's pretty low cooldown. Because you don't have much vision, I think maybe it was necessary. But if you had more vision and you could see different heroes, then you know it's safe not to need that Macropyre. And that'd be okay. We can speed up a bit more. Oh, I didn't know that worked. I guess that makes sense that you can Ice Shards high ground. I didn't realize that worked. I learned something. That worked, right? He did it. I'm assuming it works. Sure seems like it. Okay. One of the videos I should make is probably looking at every spell that can check high ground. That would help myself and everyone, probably. We'll do that next. Post it on Reddit, maybe. That's actually a useful topic that people should know. And I myself did not know. So what's happening here? Sorry, I should have updated our game plan once we took this tower. We are now at the stage of the game where it's a little scary because they're in the lead. So it's full team fights should be scary. What we want are less than full team fights. So we don't want the full 5-on-5. We want like 3-on-2s. We want to pick off the carry who's farming alone. And then we want to get out before the enemy team can rotate in. That fits our heroes. We have a Void Spirit, a Wind Ranger. We got a Chronosphere. Chronosphere does not have to be used on everyone. A solo kill on a Lifestealer, you know, at this stage of the game, like, that'd be fine. If we win a significant team fight, we have Tusk with a Medallion, and we have a Wind Ranger with MKB and Focus Fire. We could consider a Roshan pretty early, and that would buy us a good amount of time. We don't necessarily need to force Roshan, though, right now. But we do need to think that they are reaching a point where they want to start forcing fights because they should know they're in the lead. They want to win a big team fight, get Roshan, maybe force a big team fight around Roshan. They're a little stronger at it than you are. And with that Roshan, they want to establish themselves in the lead by taking all these towers and or breaking high ground. So if we get the chance, if we pick off, say, Magnus or Lifestealer, okay, first off, they pretty much need Lifestealer to do Roshan. So anytime this guy is dead, it's very unlikely that they are doing Roshan. If they are doing Roshan, it will require a Magnus, and it's going to take a while. So if you ever notice Magnus and several of these heroes are missing, that should send off bells. But if Lifestealer is alive, it'll be pretty fast to do Roshan, and it won't take the full team. It may just take, like, Lifestealer, Ogre, and Shaman. And then these guys could still be showing in lane somewhere, and you wouldn't necessarily know to be suspicious. But if Lifestealer's dead, it probably takes all 4 of them to do Roshan. And it would still be slow. So, when we're looking for kills, Lifestealer, great target. He's the hard carry, and he enables Roshan for them. Magnus, another core. Clock doesn't feel great to kill. Ogre doesn't feel great to kill. But if we kill them, they're slightly less likely to do Roshan. However, Lifestealer could probably still do Roshan. Like, say Ogre's dead, they could still sneak Roshan with, like, 3 of these heroes. Usually, if you're winning, you want to play around here. Looking at the minimap, I'm going to warn you guys so we don't get dizzy here as I swing this around. You want to play in this area right here. And pressure these towers. And you want to dodge full team fights. So you would have wards to help you do that. But because you guys are behind, we need to shift over to... We get those pickoffs, and then we can look to push a tower near that pickoff. And otherwise, we are just playing a bit safe, keeping our lanes pushed out as best we can. The warding you want to do to enable this, first, you want like 1 or 2 defensive wards, kind of like this. But then, if you see a couple of them pushing top, and you have time to go deep with like a smoke or something, you want to place a weird, unlikely to get spotted, but likely to survive ward. So something like in this corner or over here. You know, not a cliff ward, which is very likely to be dewarded. You want something bizarre that will happen to catch someone in a weird spot to help you know where everyone is. I don't need to take a full team fight here, so I don't need the cliff ward. I need to see that a Lifestealer is here while a Magnus is pushing top lane. That means I can go kill this Magnus, because the Lifestealer cannot get there. Well, actually, if Magnus was right here, he can, because he could TP here. So let's do a different one. Let's say you have a ward here, and you see a Lifestealer farming Ancients, and you see a Magnus pushing the lane out to here. This is safe to go for, because it's where you took the tower, so the enemy team can't rotate that quickly here. And the Lifestealer's up here, so he's not, like, suddenly in the jungle and just rushes out to help his Magnus. That's why you need those, like, weird wards that will survive and help you know when you have that opportunity to split push and to get pickoffs. Downside is, if you guys rush a Magnus down here, they may just go sneak Roche, so that part's a little rough. But that's what I'm thinking about at this stage of the game. Not out of it, but we need to find these kills to keep buying time and prevent them from snowballing too hard. Who's got all the wards right now? Tusk has one, and there are none in stock. Okay. If someone had a quelling, I would love one of these sneaky spots that are... Because this, to me, is decently likely to be dewarded. If the enemy team wants to Roshan, they push up here, they're going to check this area and probably put a ward here. So this is likely to get killed. But I think like a ward here or here, these are sneaky spots unlikely to be spotted. At the same time, you do need some kind of Roche vision in case they don't smoke and you see them walk in. That's the downside of this. It's a little too far out. Something over here, even though this is very likely to get dewarded, when it is dewarded, you'll know that they're thinking about Roshan. I know you didn't place that ward, but like we talked about, you are partly responsible for warding, so we should discuss as many warding things as we can. I'm scared right now. I don't see any of them on the minimap. There they are. You will never help this guy in time. As soon as they all pop out like that, he's for sure dead. The second you see like 4 people commit on him, don't bother TPing. Everyone should immediately shove down the closest lane they're in right now. Save your TPs to get back when they TP when they're like pushing high ground or something. But until that happens, shove them out. And when you see them start to disappear from top, then you guys back off. Or you see them TP out, you TP out. Something like that.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
The other thing is, this is when... So this is when you, like, those weird wards would help. You would know that they're all missing and they're not in their jungle. So it's like, okay, we need to be really safe. Let them waste their time. But you also had bottom and mid pushing. So it was okay for your team to just, like, sit behind towers for a little bit and see if they react. Because if these lanes get to their towers, like, they have to do something. And so they'll give up on their smoke or they'll show up in lane. when they don't find someone, they're not going to keep staying hidden forever, right? They're going to go do something else. So there's no need to feel like, oh, I'll just take the risk and farm, you know? If literally everyone is missing and you're at the stage of the game where you could easily lose, and it's very close to that point, right? With Void being dead, if I was them, I would just do Roshan right now. And then how will you guys ever take a team fight? It's really hard to take a team fight. Okay, tier 3 neutrals now available, so that's something we want to try to get. That could help us hold on with the repair kit, maybe some useful items to help turn the fight. Okay, there you go, a repair kit, that'll help. Make sure you guys use that. Kill bottom. So this is what you guys want to be doing, isn't it? Where like one person gets picked off randomly like this. Now it's tough because you guys aren't in an easy position to do it, because neither of them actually so this is another reason they're not the greatest. They want to dive backliners and stuff, but their abilities actually aren't guaranteed, right? Aether Remnant, kind of difficult to hit without setup. That's why I recommended the Yules. And Shackle, even if you have a blink, Shackle's hella buggy, but they could also be in an area where there's like nothing to shackle to, and then it's like, oh, that's a weak stun. That's like the difficulty of your draft, but it's still workable. But like these kind of solo kills is what we want to extend the game and to catch back up. But they're getting it instead because they have better vision because they're in the lead right now. I kind of miss them dewarding this jungle spot here. But point proven, we're not going to go back in time to show it, but point proven that they dewarded it, and like you guys have lost more vision. And we need vision that survives, because otherwise the map is so dark and they're able to get these pickoffs because we don't see them at all. Yeah.
Incoming.
Oh man. Alright, let's slow down. In fact, let's start over. So, a little bit buggy now because I did that. We see this guy pop in. He's not BKB, that's just a bug. So what happened here? He wanted to go in, but fortunately you guys landed a couple stuns, and that gave Void the ability to see, here where people are, here's where I'm going to chrono. Is this the greatest chrono in the world? It's like, okay. I mean, it's got Magnus, right? Magnus is the big way you lose a team fight if you get ulted. He didn't catch anyone else, but like, it still applies. These people showed where Magnus was. Now he can come in for the chrono. Why did Magnus die? These guys did not start the fight. He was looking to start the fight, and so he had to guess where you guys were. And as a result, he got stunned before he could do anything. Now he's chronoed. Lifestealer can't jump out or he'll be stuck in chrono. And so he's just sitting here watching Magnus die. None of these guys can approach because they were supposed to start, but none of them can actually react to a chrono because they have such short range, or they're melee heroes. So this is going well for us. I would macro pyre this. That guy is key to the team fight, you know? He needs to die for sure. Look how tanky he looks. Oh, I guess he BKB'd actually, I'm wrong. Just kidding. I didn't see that in this effect. So I think this macro pyre... No, maybe I still would have... No, you're right. I think this macro pyre is like okay then if this guy's dead. Now Lifestealer can come out and kill everyone. He's pretty strong. I would save your ice path. So... Oh, you were trying to get the Magnus. That part's okay. Okay, this macro pyre is good. And then I would save the ice path. I know you're trying to get the kill, but I would save it until he uses shackles. You have to cancel shackles. It's kind of your job. And if your ice path is down, you now cannot cancel shackles. So see, you happen to miss this stun. Even if you had stunned him, what if he didn't die? Then he has shackles. He now sets up the kill on Void Spirit. In this case, he's being saved, so he's not going to die, and you missed Ice Path. Now he's shackled. You should be able to, like, Force Staff over and Ice Path this guy and save his life. And then he would now be able to finish the kill on Shaman. It's just important to know what your Ice Path is for. It's either to chain stun, like Magnus and Lifestealer, to prevent them from being able to RP or to use Rage. Or it is to cancel Shackles. If he will definitely die if you land stun, then that's fine. But this was, like, kind of close. So I would probably play it safe and wait. Wait it out. Now, Voice Spirit's actually going to live. This is really... Oh, he did die in the end. So that was a life we could have saved. And that would be totally different, right? What if he was alive right now? He was not needed to kill this Lifestealer, which means it would now be 4 on 3. And Void Spirit could easily, like, clean these guys up. Or at least clean one up, which you guys are going to get anyways. But all this would go easier. It's still going well for you guys. Alright. When's her ult? 10 seconds? Roshan. That's what I'm thinking right now. They cannot stop you. Medallion. Okay, he's about to respawn. He should TP over. You guys go ult Roshan with Focus Fire. This is also the chance when it's safe to place these deep wards. You don't have any on you, so after you won that team fight, you should immediately buy them and have the courier speed boost out. But this is the time to, like, be able to place those deep wards to be able to get pickoffs. I think Roshan was far more important for you guys than that tier 2 mid. Because now they can get Roshan. And they're the ones in the lead. Which means they can do Roshan when they want. You cannot do Roshan when you want. So when an opportunity is there for you to do Roshan, you kind of have to take it. And it's really good for you because it delays the enemy team for, like, 11 minutes at max. 8 minutes minimum, 11 minutes max before they can get Roshan. And they don't really want to push high ground without it. Or they shouldn't. That's how they throw. You saw that you guys can still win team fights even though you're behind. And so they want all the advantages they can get, like Aegis. And now it's still available for them to get. You guys are going to smoke. But we didn't place deep wards earlier when we had the chance. So we're kind of doing this blind. We have to go into a lane or blindly walk into the jungle. Who is starting up front with us? It's Tusk, who he built for it now. So he didn't do the blink build, which I think you could still be an initiator with a blink. So I guess it's okay for Tusk to go in first, but I really do believe that him acting as a save would be better. We see them there. I don't know if that was necessary. Let's see. First off, this is a lot of overlap, isn't it? She still has a long time before the stun ends. So that was a lot of stun overlap. But honestly, she would have killed him without your Ice Path. And she's going to, right? Her stun would be, like, still right around here. It is a 3.8 second stun when it latches. So this Ice Path, unnecessary. Which means you're now missing, like, a fantastic Ice Path up here. Which we kind of knew was coming, right? Because you guys are smoked right now. It's a little janky. But first off, you should have heard and seen them smoke. You see the effects. Now you actually see them. You see 3 people right here. So even though she kills this guy, like, you see 3 coming in. And if they want to join this fight and help this Shadow Shaman, it's not the Shadow Shaman you need to stun. It's these guys that you need to prevent from being able to get in here. And so throwing a Macro Pyre and Ice Path here means that even if this guy doesn't get stunned, if he wants to walk up here, he has to walk through Macro Pyre. And it's going to take him like 5 seconds to get up here. All in Macro Pyre, which at this point is doing 140 DPS. So that is a lot of damage. And it's 3 people here of damage, plus the Ice Path stun. So that would have been really good, and that could have saved Tusk's life. Actually, sorry, I should watch from your perspective. Let's go back. So we've lost Tusk, and we got the Shadow Shaman kill. He bought back, though, so I might be thinking about trying to get out. We missed that Ice Path. I'm not going to flame you too hard. It is the right idea of the ice path, but it is... It's, if it misses, it's not going to help. So was that fight even necessary? Not really. You guys could just keep pushing out lanes. You don't need to be the aggressive. You're behind. So you want to see more people before you try to make that play. Keep the lanes pushed out. I don't hate the idea, but then like after you get that shaman kill, you know, you just get out. This is a really aggressive spot, so you just leave. Because they've now won a team fight, they're going to get Aegis. I think they'll win from here. Looking at the time of the game, it seems about right. They have Aegis. I don't know why he ulted that tier 2. That was going to go without being contested. Oh, look, like how much trouble have you guys had killing Lifestealer and or Magnus? A lot. And now you have to do it twice. You've only got one Chrono, one Focus Fire. Well, actually, if you Focus Fire the guy with Aegis, I believe it carries over till the next life. I'm not 100% sure. And it's going to be really tough. Why are we watching him? I mean, at this point, this spell usage is about as good as you can get, right? You're ice pathing through common fights, stuff like that. But you guys are just behind 18k at this point. He lost Aegis. So we need to talk about too much more. You guys are just not able to win these fights, really, unless they throw really hard. A little too far up, I'd be further back. Your range is short, but it is, you know, it's still ranged. Give yourself a little bit of space. Fortunate, missed a little bit. Was able to get the Shadow Shaman. I might buy a salve here. Oh, there you go. Nice. Okay. No comment. They're being a little undisciplined, in my opinion. But this kind of shows why you never give up, even though I'm talking about, like, oh, it's going to be tough for you guys to win now. People tend to be undisciplined around the high ground, so you have a chance at coming back. This should be dead already with, like, Shadow Shaman ult instead of being used on the tier 2, and then Lifestealer just hits this every time he has Rage up and then backs off and then comes back. And then they just clean out the game, close out the game cleanly. But this is why you still have a chance at winning in pubs, is because people aren't. But it is tough. And then you get that RP, so now it's not going to happen for sure. Okay, we can end it. I know there's a bit more time, but like at that point, I think we're done in terms of analyzing the game. So, itemization was fine. I had no real issues with itemization. Let's take a look at wards. Yeah, so Tusk ended up buying a few more. Even if Tusk ends up placing all of them, if you just buy it for him, that's a little better. Yeah, I don't have much more to say on that. We already talked about, like, after you guys win a team fight, or, like, when you're smoking up, like, that's your chance to place deep wards, so you need to go take that, as opposed to placing defensive wards at that time. Void had an okay start, when we think about our 10 minutes. It was a little better to start. Let's see. Yeah, your team was, like, an okay spot. It was, like, pretty even overall, but your team definitely had the chance to push it further. So we see, like, look how poor Shadow Shaman is. If you guys go bottom, 3 of you, at 10 minutes, what's that poor guy gonna do? He has nothing. It's so sad. Because I think you guys were winning that off lane. But then you left it. That doesn't make much sense, right? To rotate to a different lane. It sort of does, but why not just go to the lane you're already crushing and close it out? Take the tower, which helps your team, right, by getting gold to everyone, and it opens up the map a bit, makes the enemy scared to push up because they don't have a tower to rotate to. Like, take that out. That could have happened as soon as at, like, it could have happened by, like, 10 minutes. Pressuring bottom already. And we see that it can happen. Like, this guy's so poor, he really can't do much. Lifestealer, maybe you guys don't kill the Lifestealer because he has Rage and Infest. but you at least stop him from farming. Void can go to the jungle. Lifestealer can also go to the jungle. But then you guys will take the tower. And Ogre and Clock, they're not really going to take towers that quickly, are they? Even if they have a free lane. Whereas if you three are in the bottom lane, you've got Liquid Fire, you've got Focus Fire, and you have 3 heroes. You're going to take it pretty quickly. Especially with a Catapult at the 10-minute wave. That's why you see a lot of pushes around that time. Yeah. From there, you would just be at a better spot. Even though I mentioned that their draft is a little easier to work with, your draft is fine if you guys just play to it. And playing to it involved sort of winning the early game. You don't even need to fully win, just go even. And then like play with these playmakers while Lifestealer and Magnus, they just want to farm. And set yourself in a position to win from there. But we saw that didn't happen completely. And then we saw like the late game why the other draft was easier. Because someone goes in and then RP follows up. And it's just, your draft isn't really set up to deal with that. It's hard. So you had to make the plays earlier. And I hope that helps you understand what your job is, explaining all of that, so that you know where to be on the map. Hopefully that answered your questions on like, how do I resolve dead time? Resolving dead time is knowing where to be on the map, knowing like what my plays are supposed to be right now. All right, let me know if that didn't answer your question, and then we'll work on that. But I hope that helped. It's a process for sure. It's not something you can like easily pick up even after watching like something like this. It takes a while to like always know every single game how to identify what I need to do, but I do think that is the process. Like slowly learn to analyze any given game you're in and decide, okay, I think we win in the late game, so my plan should just be to stall things out. I want to defend lanes. Or you identify, hey, we're pretty strong early and drop off later. I need to make plays early. I need to be with the playmakers, actually. If I'm a support, I'm probably not the playmaker. Let me go enable the people who make plays, the Wind Ranger, the Void Spirit. Don't make them go to you, you go to them. Yeah, okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.